It's a deal to sign Brentford goalkeeper David Raya. Brentford valued Raya at £40 million. Understood the deal is worth a guaranteed £30 million. OK, so if he comes in, he'll be fighting with Aaron Ramsdale for that number one spot. Can you think of any other examples of when a club has had two number ones and how it's worked out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my club, Thibaut Courtois, Petr Cech, we had that one for a little bit. Courtois kind of ended up on top and becoming the main goalkeeper. In the end, we saw Cech actually move to Arsenal for it. I think it's interesting because obviously a goalkeeping position, you can normally be a little bit older, but even in that position as well, it's normally the younger guy that obviously sees out the other one and the transfer of the process. But with the situation that happened there, I think Chelsea were quite lucky because they had two quality goalkeepers.
And Dan, I think you've gone for another Arsenal example.
Well, what Zach's just said is true. Usually it can only last a season.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't usually go on any longer than that. And in 21-22, Arsenal obviously signed Aaron Ramsdale while still having Leno at the club, who was number one goalkeeper at the time. And it probably took about a month, but then Ramsdale usurped Leno. Leno was happy to, well, not probably wasn't happy, but he sees out the season as the number two goalkeeper, the cup goalkeeper. After that year, Leno moves on and is at Fulham. So I would suggest this time in 12 months we'll be sat around this desk talking about one of David Raya or Aaron Ramsdale leaving Arsenal.
It's weird though because they're actually
very presumptuous that we'll all still be here then.
I'm planning to be, Tom. I'm planning to be.
We might get replaced by the younger guys.
No, I should say it's weird though because their age ranges aren't as drastic as maybe the other ones, because I think Raya is 27 and Ramsdale's 25. So I think this might be the first time where we see maybe for a couple of seasons them battling it out.
Nabed, you've got a good one as well from France.
Yeah, Keylor Navas on Donnarumma. In 19-20, they were sort of going back and forth. Sorry, no, 21-22, they were going back and forth. They split the minutes pretty evenly. And then Keylor Navas went off to Forest on loan and Donnarumma became the number one, which is quite surprising actually, because at that time, Keylor Navas was one of the best keepers. I feel like we've missed quite a few. Someone on Twitter will tweet one and we'll all go, oh, that was the one we all wanted.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, there's actually loads going on at Arsenal because Monaco are deciding whether to come back with an improved offer for their striker, Folarin Balogun, having had a bid rejected. Inter Milan trying to put together a deal for Balogun too, who will find it difficult to match Arsenal's valuation, which is £50 million. As for Nicolas Pepe, Besiktas are yet to find a resolution with Arsenal over the signing of Pepe, but talks continue. Albert Sambi Lokonga, Burnley still pushing to sign the midfielder. No agreement as yet on a loan with an option to buy. That's what that is more likely to be. As for Nuno Tavares, the left-back, Wolfsburg and Werder Bremen interested in signing him. And Nabed and Zach, how important is it to get your outgoings right as well as your incomings?
Well, so far Arsenal had a pretty successful window. With FFP in mind, we just spoke about Wolves' situation, but then also in terms of getting players off the books that you don't need around, especially because I think Arteta is trying to build this tight-knit group of players. I mean, Chelsea had a situation under Graham Potter where they had players sitting outside the changing room because of how many numbers they had. And I think it's also very difficult to build a tight-knit group if you've got players who are sort of not playing or playing a couple of games here and there, and the atmosphere would change. So I think Arteta's got an idea in mind. The guys he doesn't want involved, he wants them out the door. And the guys he wants involved, he wants them fully through the door and make sure they're ready to compete every single day and have a competitive...
Yeah, I mean, it's arguably as important as your incomings, to be quite honest. Like, you look at the likes of Man City and how well they do at kind of selling on their stars. Once they realise they think, or once a player wants to leave, they're more than happy to let them go for the right price, and they normally get that right price. And so I think it can be quite as important. And look, if what Arsenal have done with their spending has been incredible. They've managed to bring in some fantastic players for great fees. I mean, Martin Odegaard's the one that comes to mind straight away. But that can only happen as well by also selling smartly too. And so I think we're at that stage now where over the next couple of seasons we'll see Arsenal start to kind of move on players as well after they've had them for a couple of years and do that strategically.
Well, we can have a look at Mikel Arteta's signings over the last, well, ever since he's been in the club. Go through his signings kind of window by window. You can see when he came in, nothing there. But a lot of money has been spent there. Remember that this hasn't actually taken into account net spend, and we're talking about outgoings there. But you can see that it's in the summer, Dan, where he's far more active in the transfer market. Yeah, that's what managers want, isn't it? They don't want to be needing to change the squad in January.
Yeah, January is always the more difficult of the two windows, isn't it? And he's been heavily backed again this summer. I've actually been looking at Arsenal's squad, and I don't think they need anything else. At a push, you could say they could do with some extra quality to back up the two centre-backs. But if you discount the players that started for Arsenal in the Community Shield on Sunday, I've done their second 11 here. And Vieira, Reece Nelson and El Nene, I can't get them in Arsenal's second 11.
Who's in your Arsenal second 11 then?
So assuming they sign Raya, it's Raya, Tomiyasu, Holding, Kivior, Tierney, Jorginho, Zinchenko, Smith Rowe, Jesus, Nketiah and Trossard.
Crikey.
So Arsenal have got phenomenal depth now, probably arguably the deepest squad in the Premier League actually now. Arsenal have got, and that's changed tenfold from 12 months ago. So I would say Arsenal don't really need to do anything else. That's a good depth chart there.
If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd probably like a right winger. A right winger that can take the minutes off Saka a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we saw towards the end of last season he was genuinely shattered. He's played a lot of minutes for someone of his age. So I think they do have Reece Nelson as an option, but he can play left and right, but also he doesn't play a lot of football. So someone who plays regularly would be handy.
So you think he'd be getting some football, wouldn't you?
We understand they do want a right-sided forward, like you're saying, Nabeid, and maybe a central midfielder if someone leaves. OK, Dan, Nabeid, Zach, thank you very much indeed.
As is this, Dharmesh, I want to talk Arsenal. What's going on with David Raya? Is this nearly done too?
Yeah, it's getting closer now. We're expecting Arsenal to finalise that deal to sign the Brentford keeper, David Raya, for a fee that would be guaranteed payment of around £30 million. Remember, Brentford were asking for around £40 million, but he's entered the final year of his contract. That, coupled with the fact that David Raya made it clear to Brentford that once Arsenal became interested, he wanted to go there. And a lot of people have been asking the question, what happens to Aaron Ramsdale? Well, Mikel Arteta has made it clear with everyone in his squad, no one is guaranteed a first-team place. He wants competition all the way around the pitch. That includes in his goalkeeping department. That means that effectively you have two number ones in Raya and Ramsdale, and they'll be fighting it out to see who will be starting for Arsenal.
Remember that old song, There May Be Trouble Ahead?
There may be,
It's a little
but
prediction right here.
that could well be. Look, you never know. But the fact of the matter is, I think Arsenal have looked at that area and thought maybe Aaron Ramsdale wasn't being pushed as much as he should have been last season, and that was when Matt Turner was their number two. Matt Turner has now actually left the club because Nottingham Forest confirmed that signing for £10 million in all. It's an initial £7 million payment that they'll pay to Arsenal, plus £3 million in performance-related add-ons. It's a 4-year contract, and his first game, Saturday lunchtime, if he's selected, Matt Turner will be in goal for Nottingham Forest at the Emirates against Arsenal.
Brilliant. Right, Mark McAdam, you were teasing us in the last part. Can you now break the news you weren't sure you could break?
Yes, this
Right.
is significant. This morning we reported that Leeds had agreed a deal with Norwich City for the right-back Max Aarons. He was headed to Leeds. Guess what? Word of the summer, hijack.
No.
Bournemouth have hijacked the deal. He is now headed down to the south coast after Bournemouth agreed a deal with Norwich City, which we understand to be an initial £7 million that could rise to £11 million. He is now headed down to the south coast. So all eyes on Leeds. They thought they had a new right back. No, he's headed to Bournemouth. That was the significant news that got broken just a few moments ago. But I wanted
good.
to just double check and triple check before we said it on the telly.
That was-
Otherwise, I'd be in trouble. And there's been some more breaking news as well, and it concerns a side that got promoted from the Championship, Burnley, last season. They have confirmed the signing of Norwegian international Sander Berge from Sheffield United for an undisclosed fee. The 25-year-old has signed a 4-year deal at Turf Moor and becomes Vincent Kompany's 8th new summer signing. So there you go. Max Aarons headed down south, Sander Berge in at Burnley. It's all happening. We'll have a hijack.
Max Aarons, a surprise. Another surprise, Ross Barkley popping up at Luton. Didn't see that coming.
Do you know what the biggest surprise is? In this day and age, you cannot keep anything a secret in football. Everything is out there on social media, and Dharmesh and all of the team here do their best to find out what's going on. That's what we do. So for Luton Town to surprise everyone with the announcement of Ross Barkley is quite brilliant. 33 England caps. Played in the World Cup in 2014, 232 appearances in the Premier League, a free agent. This will go through subject to international clearance, and he's just 29 as well. Much needed Premier League experience.
Things haven't gone well since Everton, though, have they?
No, they haven't, and I think that could be to Luton's benefit. They've got a player there that's hungry and desperate to prove to people he is still able to operate at the very highest level. And Rob Edwards said in the official club announcement today, he brings experience and the X factor.
Speaking of X factor, have Fulham got Callum Hudson-Odoi yet?
Close. They're close now to finalising a deal with Chelsea over the signing of Hudson-Odoi. There's a growing optimism now that a deal can be struck within the next 24 to 48 hours. Personal terms, not expected to be a problem. It was all to do with that fee. What Chelsea wanted and what Fulham were prepared to pay, it appears they're edging ever closer now to a compromise on that fee so that Callum Hudson-Odoi can become a Fulham player. We know he was into the final year of his contract, and from the outset of this transfer window, we knew he was going to be leaving Chelsea, and we knew he was going to be moving on, not part of Mauricio Pochettino's long-term plans. He's had a couple of loan spells away from Chelsea. I think what he wanted to do was move from Chelsea and get a permanent deal somewhere so that he can really kickstart his career from now on.
10 seconds. Give me a very quick line on Chuba Akpom. What's going on?
Yeah, this is interesting because Lens have made an offer for the Middlesbrough striker. Sources claim that it's an £8 million offer. He's into the final year of his contract. As it stands, he's not expected to sign a new one.
Fam, we've packed it all in. We're back at 7 with much, much more. Sky Sports News is next.
Hello Gunners, welcome to the channel. Subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive the next news from Arsenal. Arsenal have agreed a deal worth around £30 million with Brentford for goalkeeper David Raya. The 27-year-old Spaniard will provide competition for the Gunners' current No. 1 Aaron Ramsdale, who signed a new contract in May. Arsenal have pushed ahead with a move for Raya after agreeing to sell their No. 2 goalkeeper, Matt Turner, to Nottingham Forest in a deal that could be worth up to £10 million. Personal terms are in place with Raya, and he is set to sign a long-term contract with the Gunners. Ramsdale has said he will relish the competition for his starting spot and believes it will make him a better goalkeeper. Bring it on, he told ITV Sport when asked about Raya's expected arrival. Nothing comes easy in football, but you need to move along and need to adapt as well yourself. I've done it to other people when I've moved to clubs, so I'm not going to be thinking that it's never going to happen to me. If it happens, it happens. We'll fight and we'll make each other the best version of ourselves. That's what the manager is telling us as well. I'm sure whoever plays, me, Matt, whoever comes in. The goalkeeper union, people will laugh at it, but it's a real thing. Your individual disappointment will go away and you put the team first and you put that goalkeeper first. Raya's arrival would take Arsenal spending to about the £230 million mark, and they are looking to sell players before the transfer window shuts. Thanks for watching, until the next video.